Hey guys, Ryan Dossey, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a tier list on the best to worst lists to market to as a real estate investor. Let's dive right in. So how this works, you have these different tiers on the left. S is like the best. I think it's like super or something. A, B, C, D is basically like school grades, great to failing. So we have kind of the various typical lists that real estate investors are using. And I'm going to go through, explain what they are, and rank them in my preference from great to like my least favorite ever. So I'm going to kind of just hit these in order. The first one, and probably the most common, is absentee owners with equity. So an absentee owner means they own the house, but they don't live there. They've got some equity, so maybe they can afford to sell it at a discount. I'm going to rank this one a B. So absentees historically are one of our largest source of deals, but the list size to conversion rate tends to be a little bit low. If you're going to market to absentee owners, I recommend focusing on the people who own 3 properties or fewer. Indicates it's not like a giant hedge fund or, somebody like super duper savvy building up some massive portfolio. Next we have here corporate owned. So corporate owned, just like it's a company that owns the property. I'm going to throw these at C. If you're going to market to corporate owned properties, I personally want to figure out who's behind that corporation and mail that person. I think you're kind of wasting your marketing budget if you don't do that. If you do that, though, you can find both sellers and buyers off of the same marketing. So that's pretty solid. Evictions, yeah, that's super for me. If I couldn't sell my house and I go to rent it out and then I have to evict the first person that rents from me, I probably don't want to rent it again. I'm also realizing the optics on calling evictions super is probably frowned upon, but marketing to people that are dealing with them, we get a ton of deals from sellers that are in the midst of this and just don't want to deal with it. Next, I'm going to do expired MLS listings. This one's also one of my favorites. So it's somebody that raised their hand. They said, hey, I want to sell the property. They reached out to a realtor who promised them, the stars and the moon, and then it didn't sell. I like these because when we make them an offer and they say, well, hey, I'm just going to throw it on market, we can kind of tongue in cheek, like, how'd that work for you last time? Next here, I'm going to do liens. Liens, I'm going to throw also at about a B. Lien is somebody has some sort of a bill they didn't pay on the property. Could be something super small, maybe they missed one water bill for like $45. Could be something massive, like an IRS tax lien, and there's a $300,000 lien on a $100K house, right? If you're going to do liens, my recommendation would be to add in filters of smallest to largest. They might have a lien that's so large that they can't sell the property and pay it off, so you probably can't get clear and clear title. Similarly, back in the day, I was the water bill guy. Back in 2016, missed one bill, didn't catch it. It actually wasn't water bill. It was something else. It might have been sewer. Missed it for a month or two, just, came in the mail, whatever, and had a lien on my house. Would I have sold the place? No, absolutely not. When I realized, oh crap, we're behind, we just paid it off. So recommend having a minimum and a maximum there. For sale by owners, I'm going to throw it a D. You might be able to get deals out of these, but typically they're listing it for sale by owner because they're stubborn. They don't want to pay an agent commission. They want more money than it's worth, and they're looking for somebody that's an idiot to buy it, in my experience. That being said, if it's not really listed, like if they just have a sign in the yard, those can be great, but you just kind of happen upon them. There's not really a way to pull that list. If you go to forsalebyowner.com or something and start calling those people, it's a great way to go on a lot of appointments and upset a lot of people, kind of get some reps in, but you're probably not going to get a ton of deals that way. Next, I'm going to do for rent. For rent, I'm going to throw it a C. So I've pulled deals from having VAs reach out to properties listed for rent on Craigslist and Facebook and just said, hey, I like the property, but I'm not interested in renting it. Would you consider selling it? And we've done pretty well with those. At one point, I even built a scraper that went on Zillow, pulled all the for rent so we could market to them. I would say it's a worthwhile list. That's one of those great ways you can take action if you don't have a ton as far as a marketing budget goes. but not like a super easy list to pull by any means. All right, next we've got bankruptcy. I'm going to throw this at like a B. So PropStream lets you pull lists of bankruptcies that are active or dismissed. We've bought a lot of houses from folks that were in bankruptcy, realized like, hey, I actually do need to kind of sell the house for a fresh start. And we've had to go through the whole process of getting it approved through the court and everything. That's a pretty decent list. It's typically relatively small, so it's going to cost you like maybe a couple $100 to hit it. It's definitely worth throwing out there. Next, we've got listed properties. So I'm going to throw this as a D. Listed properties, in my experience, we do a good job when they're expired, right up here. But mailing listed properties is a great way to have agents and realtors turn you into the real estate commission, get salty, especially if you're licensed like we are. So if you're licensed and you market to somebody else's listing, they can get real grumpy, real nasty, real petty, real quick. That being said, we do some agent to agent prospecting, but that's more over the phone. It's not like a big list we're pulling. And that conversation is more like, hey, this place has been sitting for a bit. Seems like it needs some work. Is your seller willing to sell for less? We literally just got 2 deals last month doing that. But again, that's more agent to agent outreach versus like pulling a list and hitting it. Mechanics liens, I'm going to throw at an A. I realize I think I've been neglecting the A category a little bit. Hard list to get. You have to get it directly from county typically. This is great. It's somebody who needed work done, hired somebody to do it, and then couldn't pay them. Super lame on their part. I can't imagine having somebody do work for me and then stiffing them. But this is typically an indication that like things aren't going well if they started the project and then couldn't finish it, or there's disputes or something there. The next one I'm going to do here is foreclosure. I'm personally throwing this on a D. I do not intentionally market to anybody in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure. In my experience, they want to just kind of like pretend that nothing's going on until the 11th hour. We have people that find us online through SEO or pay-per-click or whatever that end up coming to us with foreclosures. But in my experience, it's kind of a dramatic situation, and that just spills over into everything else that they're doing. I personally haven't had the best luck with it. Next, I'm going to do vacant properties here. So I'm going to throw this at a C. Vacant, I'm also talking like code enforcement, boarded up type stuff. So typically if it's absentee, it's vacant, it's on code enforcement. We've not had great luck prospecting to code enforcement deals. Typically the calls we do get are on like the 100K house that needs 200K worth of work that we don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. My staff describes it as like the worst of the worst. That being said, if you're filtering specifically to vacant owner occupied properties, those can be a gold mine. We've had good luck with those. Colruyt, I think it's Johnson, guy I follow on Instagram that lives out here by me. They do a lot of cold calling on the owner occupied vacant stuff. You guys know me. That's only if they're, not on the do not call list. Like I'm not breaching that. One thing I'll throw out on vacant properties, in order for something to get marked vacant, like by USPS, that means the mail person has to have been trying to deliver mail there for the past 90 days, and that sucker is just overflowing. Nobody's getting it out. I have seen well-known influencers drop tens of thousands of dollars on vacant mailing on owner-occupied properties. They're literally not checking the mail. You're just lighting your budget on fire. So, learn from their mistakes that I'm sharing with you and don't do that. Next, I'm going to do trust owned here. I'm going to throw this one at an A. So we've typically done pretty well with properties owned by trusts. One caveat with those is we are doing a lot of work on that data before we actually mail to it through Ballpoint. We're trying to decipher like what name to put on it. I'm not mailing, the 1234 irrevocable trust of Sheila J. Smith, XNX date, like this giant thing. I'm trying to cut it down to like the Smith family, right? Something that shows we actually put forth some effort here. I pull that and look at that as a separate list. That'd be a big recommendation that I have for you there. On trusts, you also might want to look at how many properties they own, because they could be doing it for an investment thing, not just like, elderly relative asset protection type deal. So that's my recommendation with the trusts. I think my favorite trust that I've ever seen that we marketed to, the guy's name was Dick Long. So on the mail, right, it's like last name first, first name second. I'll let you reverse, but that was hilarious to us. We still have that picture in our office. I don't know. Maybe I am like a 13-year-old deep down still. Just straight owner occupieds, I'm going to throw at a C. We've done very, very well marketing to people that just own the kind of properties that they like, even if properties we like, even if they have nothing going on. So typically for me, that's like 89 or newer, 3-bedroom plus, 1.5 bath plus, attached 2-car garage, great school districts. In our main market of Indianapolis, there's about 64,000 of those. I've mailed all of them. We've 100% pulled deals out of that. That's the newer, nicer, sexier stuff that everybody wants. That being said, there's not really any motivation going on there. And I think that's one thing I personally do. I really split my marketing budget between like might have something going on and is just a place that I want. Next, I'm going to do seniors. And I'm going to throw seniors here at like a B. I wish I could do like a B plus. Seniors with equity is one of my favorite mailing lists with a couple caveats. One, internally, my qualifier team notes if we think there is any like sign of not being all there. I'm never going to be the guy that like stole Nana's house on the 5 o'clock news. If I even think for a second that they're not savvy, I'm looping in next of kin. I'm looping in their attorney. I'm looping in their CPA, whatever I need to do to make sure this is all above board. I've not bought a house so far that like I feel bad about, and I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to compromise my integrity to get a deal done. The reason we have our qualifier team note that is then my acquisitions guy can't pretend that's not there. So we have that as like a red flag in the system. And that's something that we have to clear in order to even move forward with that deal. In the past 2 years, we've caught 2 scams. One was like a fake fiance deal, and the other was like, I got to sell my house to put it all into this Bitcoin ATM because the dollar is going to crash. And that's what somebody overseas told me to do. So in doing that due diligence, even if I don't get the deal, like I at least protected that person from themselves. I'm typically always going next to kin, like, hey, are your kids around? Or I'm looping in like their legal counsel. Hey, we've got to talk to your attorney about this, who typically handles that kind of stuff for you, just to make sure there's never any claims of impropriety or anything. We look for things like they don't remember who we are. They don't remember what we were talking about. We're kind of having to start from scratch over and over again. Like that would be a really good indication you might be dealing with somebody with some health issues, and don't be a D-bag. Next here, I'm going to do power of attorney, and I'm going to throw that at the top for me. I absolutely love power of attorney marketing because somebody literally, you get a power of attorney for like 2 reasons. You're wanting to sell a property, or you're needing to take control of somebody's assets for some reason. Power of attorneys are solid. Like literally they're looking to do something with the real estate. Typically a small list, hard to get, but we've absolutely cleaned up. Like return on investment on that has been absurd. Potentially inherited, I'm going to also throw at an A. Potentially inherited is basically, it looks like the property changed hands inside the family. It's a list you can pull just straight through PropStream. These typically go well because either they're moving into it and they're going to, live there forever, maybe like their childhood home or something, or they're out of state. They want nothing to do with it. It's just a problem that they now have to solve. I find these are either like very, very heavy sentimental value, or there's none. They literally just do not care. We just bought one of these deals where the seller inherited the house, lived in it for 4 years, woke up one day and was like, this place is pretty rough. I haven't taken good care of it. I need to sell it. Super solid deal. We're going to make like $37,000 on that one. I'll do another video on that deal. But very solid deal that we just got that just came off that list. So definitely an A for me. That's one I pull anytime I'm marketing. Last but not least here, we have tax delinquent. I'm going to also throw this at an A, again, with some caveats, similar to bankruptcy, similar to pre-foreclosure, seniors. We're never wanting to take advantage of somebody in one of these positions. That being said, if somebody's behind on their property taxes in our market, if they're 2 years behind, they literally lose the house. It goes to auction. Often we're able to pay them substantially more than they would get that way. You can kind of get this list through some of the list providers, but it's typically not the most accurate. It's actually a list we can't get in Indianapolis because people were being just absolute dirtbags. So county made it where you can't access it anymore. They were doing things like, hey, you're going to lose your house. You're not going to get anything. I'll give you $1,000. Like, just consequences for your actions. You know, good luck with that type of behavior. But that's a super solid list if you can get it. Obviously, there's other random lists in here. Like, I could throw driving for dollars on here. Great list, but I don't want to sit in a car. So I'd slap that on D. You know, there's going to be other random ones, but these are the bulk, like, easy ones that most people are doing. My super ones, other than expired MLS, are like pretty hard to get. My A ones are honestly relatively easy to pull with the exception of tax delinquents. The B category, honestly, like absentee and seniors with equity, have been some of our larger deal sources, more consistent performers. The cost per deal is just higher because you're doing more marketing to get those opportunities. And then for me, C and D are like, take them or leave them. You know, I'll do some of the owner occupied stuff. I'll do some corporate owned stuff if I'm bored or I've exhausted everything else. But I'm not really focusing a ton on the bottom three. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It was kind of fun for me to do. I've never played with this format, but it's something that people seem to enjoy. If you have lists I didn't mention that you'd throw into one of these categories, I'd love to see you comment it down below. If you haven't already, be sure to take the time to like and subscribe. Again, my name is Ryan Dossey. We'll talk to you guys next time.